Got Talley here from the worldwide headquarters of Network in Action in Houston, Texas. And today we've got Douglas Olsen with AAA Washington up in Washington State. You're in the Seattle area, right, Doug?
Yes, sir.
Great to have you. Thanks for taking some time this morning.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm glad to have you here.
So, property casualty insurance, how long have you been at it and sort of what drove you to it?
For me, I've been doing it for about 17 years now, working on my 18th year. And really, after going through some of my own losses with insurance, I found out what I was actually paying for, and it got kind of frustrating. And so I got some passion behind it, decided I didn't want other people to experience what I experienced. And here we are.
I love that. You know, that's why you need an expert, right? And that's true in Texas and Washington State. Most of us buy insurance from a friend, then the friend gets out of the business in 5 or 10 years, and we're still buying insurance 4 years later from some stranger, and we've never shopped our rate. So how much does it cost someone to shop a rate with you and shop the coverage?
We're a little bit different than probably people are accustomed to. They're so, everything's quick now, 5 minutes or less, click this, dial that, play with your phone. But it doesn't work that way. The insurance companies have designed that to do exactly what you're asking them to do, give you as cheap as possible, as fast as possible. Well, how do you think that they are reducing the cost? It's only going to happen by reducing coverage. They still have to make a profit. So they've got ways of doing that. So what we do is we actually work for the client, not for the insurance companies. We're an insurance agency. And as an advisor versus a producer, I don't profit from whatever I'm doing for them as an individual. Referrals, of course, are always going to help us benefit from everything that we do. But at the end of the day, we don't charge anything for what we're doing. It's no different than if you call the 800 number. They have to pay people to get the policies written. They have to pay people to do the servicing. The difference here is you have someone that you can have a one-to-one relationship with, and not the mystery dial of, am I going to get someone on the other end of that 800 number that actually knows what they're talking about today? It's a very different program. It's not the way that they're doing it currently online and with the 800 number. Instead, it is more one-to-one. And we like to say we're big enough to service you, but small enough to know you.
I love that. And, that's so important. I mean, think about it, because you don't want to know what's in that coverage when you come time to have to call the insurance company. Yeah. In Texas, it's hurricanes up there, might be fire or wind, or, you want to know what's in that, what's going to be covered right before you have to call. And that's where an expert like you comes in so handy. You're bound to have a favorite customer service story, something that where you really blew somebody away. Tell our audience about that.
Well, I actually have two, so I'm going to cheat. One's on the business side, and effectively, it was the same thing. Hey, man, if you can't beat my rate, I'm happy where I'm at. Rate. It's always about rate. So I said, well, I'm a little bit different. I'd like to ignore the rate and make sure the coverage is what you think you're paying for. And he's like, okay. It took about 3 years before he finally said yes. And so I go in there, I take a look, and I do my analysis. I come back and I say, okay, I would like you and your wife and your business partners in the same meeting. I'll bring the coffee and whatever your pastries you'd like. Sat down with them. The bottom line is this. I actually cost them $6,000 more a year in insurance versus giving them a reduction. Why? Because 3 of their warehouses full of inventory had no coverage on the policy they had in place for the last 15 years.
Oh my gosh.
And I could give you more information, but at the end of the day, if they had had one loss, that could have been catastrophic for that business to continue to be in operation. Wow. Personal lines story. We have a lot of high value homes out here, and there's a lot of insurance companies providing insurance, wonderful companies. But when you start getting into a higher value market, meaning it costs $1 million or more to rebuild the home, now you're getting into a more of a unique niche, and you really need to know what you're doing with how the wood was built, craftsmanship, where was the tile imported from. And if you have a damaged tile, you don't want to have to rip the whole thing out and start over. You'd like to replace the damage with the same tile. And there's a lot I could say about that, but at the end of the day, they were paying right around $15,000 a year with all their cars and their umbrellas and everything they were doing with their rental properties and stuff. And now they're just under 10,000. And not only are they under 10,000, their vehicles are at full retail value, not actual cash value, with a whole bunch of coverages they didn't have before, earthquake coverage. So in other words, they're very happy and doing a lot of talking for us.
Wow. Yeah, so to sum this up, the bottom line is if you own a business or if you have a home or a car, those are your two most expensive possessions.
Yes.
You want to take the time to give Doug a call and just see what your coverage, what your existing cover has, and whether or not you need to spend more money maybe to get the right coverage, or maybe you're going to save some money by shopping it. And how would they reach you, Doug, if they wanted to reach out to you?
Many different ways. If they go to AAAWA.com and look up Doug Olsen on the AAA website, they'll find me just fine. Or Douglas Olsen at AAAWA.com, stands for AAA Washington, or 253-307-0493. And that's my business cell phone. They're free to text, shoot me pictures, whatever is convenient for them. I do normally respond within one business day. Don't tell too many people, but I seem to always respond on weekends and funky hours too, but don't tell anybody.
Awesome, Doug. Thank you so much for carving out some time to educate us and talk to us today. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, Scott. Thank you for your time.